Greetings and welcome to Enigmatic. Um, Request. If I were having a conversation with you and you noticed spinach in my teeth, I would hope that you would tell me. In the same way, if my video sounds like shit, please tell me. It's not hard to drop a comment. Thank you to the one person that let me know that my last video sounded like shit, so that I can re-record and check in again. Change is constant, and I feel like I am constantly going through a dynamic flux. One of the reasons why I try to keep to myself is that I always feel like I'm going through it, and I don't feel that that's met very well. I sometimes assume that I will be perceived as a negative, or just a lot to handle, a lot to take. And I'm not really that negative. I just try to keep it real, right? I try to have a lot of very balanced perspectives. And that being said, people might respond to me in the way that they do because I challenge the comfort that they have for themselves psychologically with the world. But I plan to use this channel to just really work on expression. That's kind of what my focus is right now. This focus comes about from doing a deep dive into effects of being raised by a narcissist, and as well as a lot of occurrences that happened in 2025. The silver lining is that they've all pushed for a change that I've been striving for a very long time. And here we are. I'm in the throes of doing the work and I feel the change. But at the same time, it's hard. I'm definitely getting beat up right now by the work. But it's good to check in and it's good to be here and to just express and to set a tone for a new year. I typically kind of treat like my new year and my goals for my life and things like that like around my birthday, not an arbitrary day that we choose in the year and then we just kind of all jump on the consensus bandwagon to pay attention to. But at the same time, we are part of a consensus reality, and even if it is arbitrary where we put the new year, everybody's paying attention to it. So that energy influences all of us. So in a certain regard, I have a new start as well for myself right now. And my new start is working on myself in a developmental way to reparent myself in the ways in which I was curtailed as a child. And again, that's why I'm working on expression here. Just a reminder, I've written this sentence, I will practice not talking more than 5,000 times, which that is a conditioning act. That is a way of controlling an individual. And the other thing too that I get self-conscious about is wanting to talk about, sensitive and heavy topics. And but it's my channel, so I can talk about whatever the fuck I want. And so that is something we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about what I go through and what my experience has been like. And if people want to interpret that as a woe is me, that's on them. That's their interpretation. That's not what I'm doing though. People's interpretations don't map onto reality all the time, and I really can't give a fuck anymore. And that being said, being a very empathetic person and having certain survival traits that were learned from being around a self-righteous narcissist, I tend to give in a bit more than I need to, and so now I want to stand my ground a bit more, and it feels good to say that. I don't feel like I was taught or conditioned to stick up for myself. Quite the contrary. And so having these kinds of realizations have helped me to heal by no longer blaming myself for things that happened to me and my natural response, my body's response to the things that happened to me. Because when we were thinking about trauma isn't just what happened, right? It's also about what happened internally. Because there's plenty of instances in which somebody can go through something and another person goes through the same thing and one of them is traumatized and the other isn't. It's not just about what occurs. It's about also how a system responds. and nobody can choose that. So it's kind of funny how people want to say that sometimes. They're like, oh, they're weak. Like, no, you're just dumb. Um, and like that's something I'm gonna call out a bit more too. So I'll give a heads up, like apologies if I cross you, but I am gonna speak my mind a bit more. Um, and That's just how it's gonna be. Like I'm a philosopher. I challenge the status quo. If there's one thing I do, it's make you think. So this is all just kind of like me claiming identity and self and exercising my sovereignty and my agency, things that were robbed from me at a very early age. And that are like that it's hard to say that they were robbed because so many people want to gaslight and undermine, another person's experience. It really goes back to that, oh, we all got shit. Yeah, no, we all got shit, but that doesn't mean that all of everybody's shit is equal and that how they deal with it is equal. So let's like meet people where they are, right? And I guess that's something that I really needed for most of my life, and I haven't really gotten it. And that's something that's made me like even more bitter and cranky. But I get to like see that for myself and like help myself out. You know, been doing a lot of deep dives lately to like help me with my own processes. And so like one of the things I'm focusing on more is PTSD and complex PTSD. And as I said before, as well as the effects of being raised by a narcissist. And there are things that I've been aware of. I just didn't take as seriously because I didn't have the sense of self to do so. So that's what we're working on, sense of self. So now hopefully this video records fine and the audio is fine and that you can listen to it and you can enjoy it and you can get whatever you need to get out of it. But I hope that everybody is having a great start to their new year. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Be good to you. Be good to others. And I'll talk to you next time.